chance to stop before off-ramp. What does that mean?
Take this exit.
Turn right. Turn left. Slow down.
Welcome to off-ramp.
Sideways. The saloon doors were still swinging. There was no sound save for his boots on the dirt road from the bar to the bank. Behind windows, behind shutters, the anxious eyes of 14 inexplicably deluded women watched his every move. He walked straight, he walked sure, he walked with the gait of a man who knew the price of grilled cheese sandwiches in towns across the West. And with that surety, with that calm, with that poise, he saw down the street almost a shadow, the form of another man approaching. A man in an identical gabardine suit. And faux snakeskin boots. And as they squinted across that plain, that field of battle, that thoroughfare of commerce and complaint, each one knew that this could be the day, this could be the day. All checks come due, with a stamp on the back saying, for deposit only. And as each one drew, as their hands flew like misguided cutlery across the room, down the street towards their holsters, they knew. They felt the eyes of inexplicably deluded women, wondering, hoping. That the better looking of the two would survive this day, or at least the kinder one, as bits of metal flew past Aunt Martha's taxidermy. That town lost its one good stamp collector.
Hi. It's scary.
Yep, I remember the last time I was scared like that.
Well, it's easy to get scared when you're young because you don't have the experience you do when you're older.
It's
to
true.
know that things that scare you ain't necessarily going to kill you.
Well, it's not necessarily that I was going to be killed, because we're all going to be killed. I mean, you
we
know,
get killed by life.
Sure.
Yes, we do.
It was more the manner in which I was finding fear.
Oh, torn apart by dogs.
Yep. And
Gusted up by tornadoes.
nibbled to death by hungry gerbils.
Well, you know, that's a fear that you probably had put in your head by reading the headlines.
It's true. There was a time there when there was nothing in the news for weeks on end except for the terrible, terrible gerbil tragedy.
Well, there's no stopping them.
No. They started with just the small things. You
Yeah.
know, they were hoarding petals,
Mm-hmm.
pebbles. The pellets is what I'm trying to say.
Pellets, gerbil pellets.
They were
the
hoarding
food
pellets.
stuffs.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
they'd sell them to the other gerbils at a tremendous markup, as you
Worse.
recall, I'm sure.
I remember that gerbil hoarding uprising of gerbils.
The gerbils, they were a crafty bunch, not to mention muscle bound.
Well, ounce per ounce, a gerbil has a bigger brain than a gorilla.
It's true.
With the little wheels in the little aquariums.
They traveled on the little rolling wheels. However, they'd figured out how to detach them from those stands. So you had hundreds of little metal gerbil wheels just rolling down the highways. You'd hear this.
What a racket.
Martha, what is that? You'd hear this thing just coming and coming, and you wouldn't see anything on the horizon because they're so short.
I'm getting confused with the zoological implications of this sort of thing. It's evolutionary terrorism.
Now, you may be on to something there.
Well, it's. I'm not going to say it's a simple fact of life, but it's pretty close to it.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Life's a hell of a circus when the fleas are running it.
it sure is.
Yes, it is.
Now, where's Judy? I sure would like some more ice cream.
I don't know, but I can't sit out here in the sun too much longer. I'm going to get burnt. Oh, wait a minute. I'm in the shade.
Well, all right then.
I've been thinking about my personal history and wondering if I shouldn't completely revise it. You know, I mean, I have a different point of view now than I did when I was, say, a child or a teen or even someone in my 20s. Maybe it's time to revise those things that I hold as personal history and just, and change them. Maybe that summer we spent at the beach wasn't really all that formative as I've always thought it was, with the introduction of seaweed into my diet and, the very, bikinis and things like that. Maybe that's not where the import of my life, the importance changes lie in that. Maybe it's time to say that something's never happened, like, 7th grade, maybe that never happened.
Sure. I would personally, knowing you as I do, since we are related,
Sure.
I would highly recommend revising your histories in any way you can.
Now, have you? I mean, does the rest of the family think that my recollections, the stories I tell at the Thanksgivings, are like wrong? I mean, sometimes I think I start to tell a story. Someone's carving the turkey, someone's rolling the ball, and whoa, they slip, and I go, oh, remember when Granny slipped at the ball at the Swithins, and she went to the pool, and and everybody's just looking at me, and I start to think that, maybe my history isn't the same history as their history.
I wouldn't say that we all think that you're wrong. It's more just
of course not
factual. One way to start might be to write your own history as viewed by somebody else, and then
A stranger?
a stranger, or say Mom, and
Okay.
or Ellen.
What would Mom or Ellen say about, say, my high school graduation incident? But how could they see it any different than I? I mean, it's probably, I imagine, if I looked it up in the records in the library, the fire is probably still there. I mean,
Sure.
all of that stuff probably happened. I mean, this scar. Look, I mean, where did I get that if not from the steam?
Well, I'll tell you, they will remember it differently, if only because they weren't hanging upside down at the time. They had a kind of straight-ahead view of things that you might not have had, in the locker like that.
Do you think that this is really hard to say. Do you think that oh, man. Yes, I was hanging upside down. Yes, the lockers were closed. Yes, I didn't show up to the actual graduation. Yes. But is that really important?
Well, that particular day, I think mainly just the fact that so many of our relatives had spent so much money to come down to see you walk through, and in addition to that, so many of them had very expensive fur coats in the building before it burned.
I just don't think it's all about me. It's not all about me. Is it all about me?
Well, I would have to say that was Dad's favorite car, and to see it flung from a helicopter was not,
That was funny. Come on, that was funny. It was funny. That thing was made out of coffee cans and duct tape and balloons and rubber bands and old walnut shells, and it was made out of little bits of tin. It was made out of stuff that he had found. He built, but then it looked like a Buick too. I mean, it really seemed like it was a real.
That was the Buick actually.
Car.
And really, in terms of explaining personal histories and scars and things like that, I think that you'd have to factor that in.
Huh.
But
well, listen,
if you instead told your history as being, say, Ellen's, who had in fact gone to her graduation and did in fact graduate, we'll start there. And
if I told my history as Ellen's, I would say that I always chose the right clothes to wear. I always made sure that enough time was spent studying before I had the chores to do, and before I would then allocate time for recreation and play and all the dating of other people.
Sure.
I would say, if I were writing my history as Ellen, that I was a little embarrassed about the overnight development of my personality, and but that I in becoming the leader of the class senate and be the honor roll, it all fell in quite easily for me.
Well, I'll just say this: if you can write that out in kind of a heartfelt way and sign it as kind of not a confession but a statement of what you now accept as your own history, then I can't promise anything, but there's a good chance that you'll be able to visit us at Christmas.
There she was, smiling on the midway, her toothless grin, chewing cotton candy. Why she picked the blue variety was always beyond me. Why she insisted on standing on her hands on the roller coaster, somewhat odd. At least she could have waited till it started down on the midway in her calico dress. Tattoos of patches on her elbows. She taught me how to shoot a deer rifle, which wasn't allowed in the Cupid doll booth. Taught me right from wrong when stealing. Never go for the short con. Oh, she knew when the heat was on. That was my granny. Always dependable. Hell of a wheelman. Always knew how to get out of jail fast. Screwed every bail bondsman in the South out of their deposits. I mean,
Yeah, so, anyway, that's great. You want pizza? You want a dog? You want some fries? What do you want?
I want mundane impersonations.
All right. This is an impersonation of the guy that drove my bus when I was in junior high school.
Kenny, come sit up here by me. Kenny, stop that. Kenny.
Very nice.
Or I could do something like a toaster or something.
Fine.
Okay, here's a toaster set on one notch browner than you really want.
Even better.
Something like that.
Okay, welcome back to Dog Talk.
We have Esther on the line, who has a schnauzer, I understand.
He's a schnauzer.
And what's happening with your
He's
schnauzer?
a purebred schnauzer.
Those are rare.
There's only one of him, and I had a question about trimming his whiskers.
It's a common problem.
My question is, hello?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
I have a schnauzer,
Yes,
and his whiskers get moist.
yes.
He's eating his food. He's eating my food. He's eating any food he gets into.
He's eating, and
He drinks water, but I think his whiskers are wet with saliva.
you think this is his?
I know it's his because it's coming out of the front end of him. Excuse me.
And-
How can you? And I want to know: should I trim him, or do they need him like antennas? With the schnauzers, will it hurt him?
I'm not sure.
My question is: I have a schnauzer.
Yeah,
Turn your radio down just a little bit.
My radio. I don't have a radio.
take the.
Who is this?
And I just want to ask you, what makes you feel like that this dampness problem would be alleviated by trimming the whiskers? I mean,
Well, the problem is that the whiskers are wet.
yes, and that's
if I
normal.
I
That's
thought-
natural. I want to discourage you from trimming the whiskers.
Don't trim
no.
the whiskers.
Yeah,
Hang on a minute.
Okay.
Don't, Harry. Don't trim the whiskers.
Did-
No, he said don't. He said the dog would die or something.
Are we in time? Did we stop that before?
He can't even catch a thing. He's sitting in the chair,
Okay.
he's yelling at it.
Good. Well,
Thanks for calling. That was
Thank
great.
you.
Goodbye. We just need to, get to as many calls
Oh,
as
sure.
we
We've
can.
got a lot of people out. A lot of lines lit up. We have a call from Sammy in Deltona.
Okay.
Welcome to the program, Sammy.
Am I on?
Dog Talk.
Yes. Welcome to Dog Talk.
I had a question about the lady with the schnauzer. I had a comment.
Okay.
I had a comment. I'll make my comment and then I'll get off. I'll listen to what you're saying.
Okay, fine.
My comment is, the lady with the schnauzer,
Mm-hmm.
she sounds like my cousin Emma.
Maybe it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
That's what I
you.
wanted to know.
I usually get a lot of more. Well, never mind. I'll just take it as it comes here.
Well, we appreciate it.
I'm
Is this
afraid.
the Pet Psychic Show?
No, Dr. Brown is a distinguished and well-known doctor.
Doctor, I have a daughter.
Unfortunately, our time
She
is up
has a
here on
poodle.
Dog Talk. Thanks for calling.
A well-trimmed poodle.
We appreciate your calling. And
Probably should wait till we're off the air. Were we off? Well,
go ahead.
most stations will go ahead just and invest in that little time delay device. It doesn't cost that much, and you really get rid of all that kind of.
That's a good idea. We had
you need to have, some sort of cohesion.
yeah, we used to have a high school intern who she'd kind of buffer, and somebody would talk to her, and she'd repeat what they said, and we'd,
Yeah, well,
as a middle.
that's a start, I guess. But is this a call or is this?
Yeah, this is Ernest.
I don't know how your system works.
Welcome to Dog Talk.
Hello, Bob? I love your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank
I'm
you.
a long
Thank you.
time. I'm a long time listener, and I've called a couple times, but
I remember your voice.
I
Thanks
usually
for calling
hang up
again.
before I say much. I want to ask the doctor something.
Yes, Dr. Brown.
Now, my wife tells me that she feels it's cruel to crate train our dog, and
What sort of animal do you have?
he's a dog. He's mostly dog. There may be some wolf in him, but he's mostly dog.
Do you know, is there a breed?
He's like a long-haired, short.
How big would you say he is?
He's getting big. He's getting big. I don't see him too often. See, here's my problem.
In order to prove to my wife that crate training wasn't cruel, I decided that I agreed to try it myself. And I'm wondering, what we have is the wire crate.
Yeah,
the
I know.
size 9 wire crate. And inside, I'm inside the crate, and I don't know how to open the crate. Is it a lift or is it a sliding lock in it? Do you know? I've been in this crate.
Wouldn't that be part
my
of the
cell
training,
phone's
though,
almost
Doctor?
dead.
Sounds like you've got a two-part question there.
Now, I don't want the dog. Well, the second part is if I let the dog see how I get out of the crate.
Is the dog watching you now?
I don't know where that dog is. They put a blanket over it so I'd feel more secure, and I can't see much anything.
Well, if someone's doing it correctly.
I hear giggling sometimes when the kids walk through.
I'm going to say that your wife probably has gotten over her fear of cruelty for... It's really unusual to see an adult with the courage to call in on that puppy training topic. I think you're, dogs are pack animals, as you know, and when they're part of your family, you are the leaders of the pack, so to speak, and they are members of the pack.
Does that mean that it's healthy for members like me and my son to go with the dog and hunt small game as a dog? No, I don't mean with guns. I mean just like to run around and chase things like a pack would, I'm asking.
It's not necessary. I think the animal would much prefer to try to emulate your behavior than the reverse.
Oh, I see. Like crosswords and things like that.
Right. And a pack of cards.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
Pack of cigarettes.
This show was improvised by Gary Bass, Matthew Cowley, and Dave Waterman. Edited by Sheila Daughtry and mixed by Matthew Cowley.